We're back by popular demand, the interview slash podcast series. I miss doing it. We actually done this before, me and
Yeah.
David, but I didn't drop the full clip. And this time I'm gonna be dropping the full clip. And I just want to start from the very beginning. What would you say is your first big win in real estate?
My very first big win in real estate in general as an industry, I think the first one was quitting my full-time job was my first win because I took the leap of faith in myself. And that's what a lot of real estate agents today, that are scared to take the leap of faith. Like to me, one of my mentors back in the corporate world told me, is like, because he was leaving too, he was like, if I'm gonna make $1 million, I'd rather make $1 million for myself, not for a corporation. So ever since he said that to me, that always stuck to me. And sure enough, I met Eddie, obviously, and then he showed me the industry and the opportunities and what could someone accomplish. And I took the leap of faith. And I was like, you know what? I quit my corporate job. I usually when you quit, you usually give it 2 weeks. I gave like a week and 2 days.
Yeah.
It was like on a Wednesday, my boss came and I gave him my letter. He's like, dude, this is not even 2 weeks. Like, I just got to go. And he was okay. We left in good terms, but I think that to me was my biggest win in the industry.
So you quit your job before even getting your first deal. You
Yeah.
just jumped right into it.
Quit my first job without no license, nothing.
Without even the license?
Nothing. I just quit my job.
I talk to a lot of agents that are working like part-time. Obviously being a real estate agent is commission based only unless, you're a showing agent or something of that nature. What would you say to an agent that's in that situation where, they got some bills or some liabilities and they're scared to take that leap of faith?
It depends on the person, right? Like for me, I got into real estate when I was 29. And I already, had a bachelor's degree, master's degree. I had a good job. I had savings, I had 401k. So I had reserves for myself to carry myself over for a couple months. But someone that is just starting and just want to take the leap of faith, you got to be smart about it, right? It's not a decision you just do out the blue. You have to, obviously, if I would do it again, I probably wouldn't do it again like that. But things happen for a reason, right? But that pushed me even more to, there was no option that I could fail. There was no world or no universe in this world that I could fail because I needed to win. I needed to make this work because this is all I had at that point. So I worked my ass off like I still work my ass off now, but like the first two years was a determination of who I was going to be. So I had to go 1,000% every single day. And if you want to take the leap of faith, if you're a young real estate agent, make sure you have some reserves, make sure you have a family to support you, and make sure you have the right leadership, the right guidance, the right mentorship right behind you, because without any of those, you're probably going to fail.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take for you to get your first deal?
I officially got licensed in January 15. I closed my first deal in March of 2015.
Wow. So what is that, 2 months?
2 months, yeah.
How did you source it?
So what I tell a lot of agents, especially in the trainings, and exactly what I did, the first day of real estate, what I did was I called and I text everyone on my cell phone. I sent private messages on Facebook. I mean, right now, Facebook has changed compared to 2015. Before, you could literally send 1,000 messages and Facebook won't spam you or block you. Now you do that, you probably get in trouble or they'll block you or they'll restrict you. So I did that, and one of my good friends from Northeastern, she sent me a message like, hey, yeah, you know what? Actually, I have a client, and I don't know if you want it. And I told her like, well, I don't have any clients, so I'll take anything at the time. So it was a cash deal. She referred me. She worked at Chase. She referred me a cash buyer. He ended up buying a house, multi-unit house, for about $80,000. So that was my first transaction, and that's I still remember his client's name. His name is Juan Hernandez, and to this day, he was the first one that gave me my first shot.
What was your most successful year?
Well, the COVID year, I think that was a year that a lot of people obviously made a lot of money, and obviously in March of that year of 2020. That was a scary moment because that's when the doors closed for real estate. Like literally my phone stopped ringing. And for that short 2-3 weeks of March, I was obviously, like everyone, scared of the business, and obviously for my family, because I support my family. I just wanted to stay focused, and then I just had to go back to my roots of 2015. I just like hustle hard, and before you knew it, like it was an amazing year for real estate. I think our biggest month was August of that year, where we closed 32 transactions, and we had about 58 under contracts that month.
In a month?
Yeah,
Sheesh.
and that was just Team David.
So how much was the whole year?
We ended up closing about 138, I believe,
Okay.
that year.
So for an agent that maybe is closing 1 or 2 deals a month, how do you scale to that point where you're doing 2, 3, 4, 5 deals a month?
The way you got to scale it is, and my first year in real estate, March was my first closing, and then April I believe I had two, and then in May I had five closings. And I remember that because in May of 2015 was Realty Chicago's first top producer award month, and I won the first one. And how I did it was just being consistent. Consistency is very important in this business because there's a lot of real estate agents that do it Monday, maybe Thursday, maybe I'll do an open house Sunday. Me was Sunday through Sunday. It was a 8 to 11 o'clock grind every single day. And sometimes, real estate agents will say like, oh, I don't have work to do. I don't have clients. That's the wrong way to think about it, because the way you got to think about it is you have to create work for yourself. No one's going to give you anything. So I had to create work by going to businesses, talking to people, going to open houses, creating social media content. And that generated a lot of business and leads. And that kind of helped me. I was like over abundance with leads because I created so many. So I had to pick and choose. And obviously it was just myself. So I had to, pick and choose my clients. And before you knew it, like my thing was like, get them on the contract. So I remember in that point of May, I believe I had like 8 under contracts when I closed my first 5.
Okay. Let's take a step back. So walk me a little bit through your career. So first you started off as an agent. You've always been at Realty Chicago, right?
Always been Realty Chicago.
And now you are?
So right now, I'm the anchor partner of the Midwest for Realty of America.
Mm-hmm. And how did you go from just an agent to you were a managing broker to that position?
So technically I started as an investor. So when I quit my job, in 2014, I took my money out of my savings 401k. I invested in real estate, became an investor. Then I got my license, became a managing broker in 2016. Became the CEO of Realty Chicago last year. And now I'm the anchor partner of Realty of America Midwest. So people ask me like, how did you do it? And I'm going to keep saying it. And, my family knows, Sandy knows, and a lot of people that are very close to me know how hard I work. I literally work my ass off every single day. No F's given. People say like, oh, there's a balance, a work family. I believe in no work balance. There's no such thing as that, because I love my family as much as I love my career. So I cannot stop, like tell my daughter like, hey, it's 5 o'clock. I got to stop loving you. And I'm switched to work mode. There's no such thing. Or I can tell my job like, hey, stop calling me at 6. And I can't do that. So I love my work and I love my family. It has to be combined. There's no way about it. So I work and I love my family as much as anything. So I work very hard on both of them.
Okay. So you were talking about consistency, and that's why I kind of wanted you to walk through like your career, because it doesn't happen overnight. Like you said, you got to work really hard. But I think, like you mentioned, a lot of agents are like, hey, I don't know what to do. I got no leads. I got nothing to do. How did you, in the very beginning, structure your week? So it's Monday morning. What are you doing?
So Monday mornings, so besides, it could be any day. It could be Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? Like every day you have to get up and have the mindset that like, okay, what do I have to do today? And how fast can I get to the office? Because you're not going to do work in your house. You're not going to do work at a coffee shop. There's just no way. There's so many distractions. You have to go to an office. People are going to say like, oh, I don't have an office. Well, find an office that's going to have an office. Like it's so simple. You need to get out that mindset where, and a lot of it goes back to like social media and trends and all this and what's cool. At the end of the day, doctors work at a hospital. Attorneys have a law firm. Bankers work at a bank. realtors have to work at an office. It's as clear as possible, right? So anyone that's working at a Starbucks is not in business. It's a hobby. It's Instagram. It's social media. You have to work at an office. There's no point. That's it, right? So every day I go to the office, appointment, no appointment. I create appointments in the office. That's very important. I wake up, get to the office. Now it's a little bit different, right? But before, I'll get to the office by 8 o'clock because I want to be the first one there so I can see how a realtor's coming in. Realtors coming in at 11, 12. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to be like that. Oh, Eddie's here at 8 o'clock. I want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a very observer person. People a lot of times say like, oh, David, you're very quiet. Yeah, because I'm observing. I like to listen. I like to observe to see what people are doing and imitate and duplicate what people are doing good. And what people are doing wrong, I stay away from that.
Okay. So I think part of the reason I think me and you get along is that me and you share the
You're
same
my best friend, dude. What are you talking about?
is I share that same mindset of like, not having work-life balance, and then also you have to be at the office. I think some people say that you don't, but I just disagree. I think if you look at all the top producers, they're at the office, right?
They have to be.
And you can work from home, but I think that it's just different when you're in the office.
You're comfortable at home. You're comfortable. Your bed's there. Your couch is there. Your refrigerator is there. At the office is not your bed. It's your desk. And you got to get to work.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. But when I asked that question of how you like structured your week, more specifically, like what were you doing? Obviously, yeah, you were at the office, but what did the office work consist of?
So yeah, it's a good question. So now after years, I kind of structure my days a little bit different. So what I teach the agents is you got to win the morning to win the day. And what I mean by that is you got to focus from 8 to 12. You got to focus on lead generation, prospecting. You got to work on your business than in your business. And that's a complete different thing. The morning from 8 to 12, you're working on prospecting, you're working on lead generation. And then at 12 o'clock, you go on lunch, or you go on lunch with a partner or a client. And then after 1 o'clock, that's when you have your appointments, your buyer's consultations, your listing appointments, or any type of appointments. It's after 1 o'clock. Because most agents, someone calls them, tells them like, hey, Chris, I want to see a house. And most agents will be like, yeah, sure, no problem. What time? 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. When you do that, you're literally disrupting your whole day because you're never going to go back to prospecting. You're never going to go back to lead generation. You're never going to go back to like, oh, I was going to do this video, but now I can't because I'm showing Mr. Juan Hernandez, right? So you have, as real estate agents and even all professionals, should focus in the morning, like prospecting, get that out the way, generate some business for the day, get 3 or 5 leads that day, and then move on to your scheduled listing appointments or buyer's consultations.
So you started in 2015. What are some major changes you've seen
in the industry, or what? Or
in the industry? Yeah.
I think the industry has got more. There's a lot of things that are happening, right? But what I'm seeing is a lot of real estate agents trying to find shortcuts. Right, which is fine, which is okay, right? Because everyone's trying to do that, right? But the key success that I'm seeing throughout the years is the ones that are in the front lines are doing like the business relationship approach, where it's like the belly to belly, the face to face. If you do belly to belly, face to face, and breaking breads with business partners, with clients, you're gonna win more versus sending a quick text, sending a DM. I hate, and I don't know if this is going to be on record, right? But I hate texting. I hate sending Facebook messages. If someone sends me a big paragraph, I'm going to reply very short and either call me or what time can I call you? I hate that because there's so much information and so much content that can be lost in a thread or a message, where I can avoid all that completely, or just picking up the phone and getting that directly. So I love face-to-faces. I only do business face-to-face. I don't do business through the phone. I don't do business through Zooms. And that's kind of where a lot of real estate agents are more going towards. And I completely disagree in that model.
But yeah, I think the face to face and the break breaks are essential. Even if you're,
Essential.
even I mean, I'm very active on social media, but I'm still hitting that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what brings in the deals. That's what pushes things forward. Uh, the calls
And
that
that's how you nurture relationships.
that I think that's the most important things in the business. What do you think? It was a big thing, big ordeal, and I feel like now, at least on my side of things, I feel like it hasn't changed much. How do you feel about like the whole buyer's agency thing now that it's been into play?
I mean, how can I say it? Like, I think it's a good thing for the consumers. I think it's a good thing for real estate agents. Now, instead of just being an open door type agent where you just open the doors and hope that that buyer buys with you, now we have some assurance that our clients are going to now work with us versus the other way how it was in the past that it wasn't like that. There was no sense of, commitments, no sense of professionalism. But now, I mean, our team, I mean, our offices have had no issues with that. And I think it's a good thing at the end.
Yeah.
So,
How is So we talked a little bit about the the past, the present. What about the future? Like, what is Realty of America building?
Realty of America. So let me take a step back. So Realty of America is the fastest growing real estate company ever in history of real estate. And when I mean by that is, we have a lot of amazing top producers from coast to coast. And it's amazing to say that Realty America started in our backyards. It started with Eddie Garcia leading the way and partnering with top agents throughout the country. We have the best C-suites executives that it's crazy how we have them. Dr. Noah and Aaron Noble, and it's just amazing how this company is growing super fast, and we are going to be one of the top players in the real estate business in the industry. And to me, that's very important because, you know, at least for me as a Hispanic father, one day my little girls are going to grow up, and now they're going to be able to say, like, because right now, there's a lot of grandkids out there in the world that are all saying, like, oh, my dad helped build Century 21, my dad helped build X company and X company, and they didn't look like us.
Hmm.
Now, at least for my daughters and people within our organization, now are going to say, like, oh, my dad helped build Realty of America.
Did you know that by median weekly income, Hispanic men are the lowest paid out of any demographic? Women, black, whatever. Hispanic men are I read this in 2018, and it stuck with me. And I checked in 2020. I think the U.S. labor statistics, the most recent release was in 2022, I think. But Hispanic men statistically are the lowest paid in the entire nation, which to me is crazy
That
to
is
think
crazy.
about. So
Well, I could contest to that because when my first job, I was making like $3 an hour. So
how did it feel to be Realty Chicago CEO?
to me, it was the greatest honor in my career. On top of this, right? To me, it's just that Realty of Chicago. That's all I know, And of course, I've had many people have tried to have a conversation with me about what other partnerships look like. But to me, like, I was at Juasco for 11 years, CVS for 5 years. I always like to stick with people, and I like to follow people that I have a good relationships with, and we have the same values. Eddie Garcia has a hard work ethic. He has a demeanor of always growth and finding ways how we can keep growing,
Mm-hmm.
and I like that. Realtor Chicago, he gave me the keys of Realtor Chicago about a year ago, and to me that was like a big honor because that was his company, and me running it was a lot of work, a lot of sacrifices, but we got the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And the job was to make sure that Realty of America was launching where it is today, and if it wasn't that, this couldn't happen. So everyone put a lot of work into it, and we're really happy with the results. So yeah.
So from $3 an hour to CEO of a company selling $500 million in real estate, what would you say is the most impactful interaction you had with a client
In the beginning or now or
in general?
I'll tell you this, unfortunately, like I'm not in the grounds, in the battlegrounds in real estate, like showing houses or listings, but I do have some legacy clients that I can say that would always follow me. I had this conversation about last year with one of my amazing clients, and he was like, David, I know you're very busy. I know you have a lot of responsibilities, but just know that I won't ever go anywhere besides you, and I'll wait for you to do business. And to me, that was very amazing from someone at his stature, because he's a big business person, and for him to believe in me and believe in my mission and believe in what I'm worth, he was willing to wait for me. And I think that resembles the type of business I run and how I treat my clients with full blown respect, and how I deal with people, and I respect that.
How does an agent get to that point and build that kind of brand?
Always do the right thing. Always do the right thing. Don't ever be commission breath. And I could tell you right now, there's been times where I was like, damn, like the boat's gonna sink any minute now. But if your mind focused on doing good for our clients, good for our community, you'll never have to worry about money again. Always do the right thing, work hard, and be a leader. Don't ever be a follower. Always do the right thing, and always have high integrity when you're doing something.
Yeah. I mean, last time when we were recording, you mentioned a lot your relationship with Eddie Garcia. How obviously it's very important relationship in your career, but day one, what was he teaching you?
It's really hard to say that. Literally, he was teaching me about real estate life. It wasn't like a sit down, like, hey, let's talk about listings. Hey, let's talk about buyers. It was more like, hey, how do you run a business? How do you deal with clients? How do you deal with top investors? How do you build a book of business? And it wasn't like a 30-minute sit down. It was like an all day thing conversation. You know what I'm saying? So I had the pleasure and the honor to follow Eddie for 3 or 4 months before I got in the business. So he walked me through a lot of things, and it wasn't like okay, today we're gonna learn about this. It was more like just life lessons and real estate lessons and the do's and don'ts and what helped him be successful.
So if an agent is interested in joining Realty of America, what kind of resources do they get like that?
Well, especially with us in the Chicago market, you get the world headquarters of Realty of America. So you got to think about that. So right now, Google is in California, Tesla is in Texas, Facebook is in California. Realty of America headquarters is right here in Berwyn. To me, that's an amazing honor because, like Eddie says, like we could have easily gone to Oakbrook, we could have easily gone to downtown in the West Loop, but we stuck around to our people, which is our community, which is Berwyn, right? And to me, that's amazing because now, a lot of kids in the neighborhoods, a lot of kids in our areas are gonna see that, and they would want to be part of that. And that's something that to me that's amazing, and I'm really honored for that. What agents get, they get their home, the world headquarters here. Obviously, they get leadership here in Chicago, which is still the same. And there's a bunch of technology that's with Realty of America. And now that we're national, so you are now connected to amazing individuals throughout the country.
Yeah. Inspiring me, bro. Loans of America.
Loans of America.
I mean, you briefly mentioned it, how, you've had other people inquire. I mean, you kind of touched based on it where it's a leadership, but what makes you not open to like other options? Like, I'm sure you've been approached by great leaders before.
Yeah. To me, I'm very loyal. I'm a loyal person. I've never been someone to like what's in it for me. right? Because my time will come. My time will come. And to me, like dealing with people throughout this industry, it's a norm for to people to jump ship. It's a norm for people to switch office, which is fine, you know. But to me, like I like to see things big picture. I like to see the direction, and I stick through it. And I come from a place of how to be a servant. So if things are not going well, I don't just ask the question. I find the answer. You know what I'm saying? That's a
Yeah.
big difference with people where people will come to me and like, hey, David, what about this? What about that? And then it comes to me, then I have to figure it out. But to me, when there's issues or scenarios or concerns, like myself and my team, we try to figure things out quickly
Hmm.
and make things better.
How do you mentor your team? Because Eduardo's now licensed,
Yes.
Alejandro is now licensed.
Yes.
How do you, how do you like? To me, that's tricky, right? Because Eduardo and Alejandro, they're agents now, right? But they were in like clerical positions. I think now they still are, but it's kind of like walking this thin line of helping them grow, but then also, kind of keeping them on your team. How do you balance that?
I don't force anyone to be at my team or not.
Hmm.
You know, I always welcome people to grow. That's always been my motto. Even at the Juasco days, you know, I remember one of our clerks, you know, one of our baggers. By the time I left, he was a store director. You know, I always push people to grow. I never would ever hold anyone back to their full potential because to me, like, you know, I wanna spark growth to everyone that I ever meet. Like even from when I was in kindergarten, you know, and not saying that I inspire people in kindergarten, but you know, I have friends to this day from kindergarten because they know who I am, they know me as a person, and I will never backstab or cheat anyone behind their backs, and that's just who I am. You know, people yes have done that to me, but I will never ever let that show. I guess I will never be upset about things like that. You know, that's just my character. For them to like, they're welcome to do whatever they want, and and they're also welcome for to follow me through their guidance and helping them. And what I tell them all the time is like, you know, you guys have front row seats of the conversations I'm having and the conversations that I'm doing and the business deals that I'm doing. And I think that kind of goes back to the me and Eddie Garcia aspect where I was just like listening, viewing, you know, shadowing Eddie Garcia, and that's what made me who I am today. And they both have the front row seats to that.
Hmm.
And I think to me, I think that's invaluable.
Speaking of loyalty, how do the agents that were Realty of America, how do what kind of feedback are you getting now that it's Realty of America?
They love it.
They love it.
They love it because now, and you know, now with Real to Chicago, at the end of the day, you know, our agents were renters. You know, they didn't own Realty Chicago. I didn't own Realty Chicago. Now going to Realty of America, now we're all owners. You know, so now they own a piece of that company. I own a piece of that company. So so that's what that's the biggest difference right now. You know, there's a lot of offices through the Chicagoland area that cannot offer that,
Hmm.
but we are, and our company is a real estate company first. That's our number one thing. You know, us in the real estate industry, we preach home ownership. We preach buying a home, selling a home, you know, ownership. But at the end of the day, like us real estate agents in Chicago, we're not owners of
Hmm.
anything in the company. So now that's something that a lot of them are very excited for, you know, because, you know, I'm sure you deal with it all the time where, you know, you get a client that's been renting all their life. They probably didn't take care of that apartment as much. But now when they own their home,
Hmm.
they're going to take care of it. They're going to cut that grass. They're going to paint it. They're going to make it look nice. So what do you think our agent's going to do with our company? They're going to make it look perfect. And that's what I'm here to do, making sure Realty of America grows.
Back to the loyalty question. One thing that I've seen some people struggle with is um, their staff kind of is always rotating, right? And then one thing I've noticed about you is not like your people stay loyal. How do you keep like your team loyal?
Well, it's hard. It's hard because there's so many options out there. And there's always going to be a shining object everywhere. And people are going to attract to it because obviously social media and how they sell it and things like that. But, you know, I'll give you an example. There's a company not too far from us. You know, they copied literally everything, right? Literally everything, even to my staff. But one thing they will never get is me. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that no one will get besides Realty of America. You know, so, I'm not saying I'm here or there, but there's a lot in here and the experiences and wisdom that I've helped and gained through the years. And my character is, is a lot of different from the people that are in the industry. So,
So you said that there's people out here copying you, David, or what?
I don't know, man. You go fact check me.
I mean, but that's kind of beautiful though, in a way,
It is.
right?
It is.
If you teach people like, and then they see like what you're doing, and then they're like, you know what?
I'm doing something right then, right?
Exactly, right.
But if I was doing something wrong, no one would copy me. No one would follow. No one would do what I'm doing. But there a lot of people aren't, and that's great.
Yeah, and I think in this industry too, it's easy to compare yourself a lot to other people, and I think that you could do that and it's like, oh, this company's doing this or this company's doing that, and like listen to all the noise, right? How do you block out the noise? Because I'm sure when Realty of Chicago was smaller, there was probably people saying, oh, why don't you go to this company or that company? How do you like block that out?
I just do, man. I just stay focused. I try to stay away from social media. So my social media plan is post, set and forget it. Because the more I'm in social media, the more you get in that rabbit hole, I guess. Like I stay focused. I have like back-to-back appointments all day. If it's not with clients, it's with agents, business partners, or it's not with staff, leadership, calls, whatever it is. I'm back to back. Like, there's not one day or one hour in the day that I'm not just sitting in my ass doing nothing. There's always something to do. And if there's nothing to do, I'll find something to do because I hate to be unproductive.
What is your strategy for social media?
Post and set and forget it, to be honest with you. But I guess, so I follow this rule, minimum of 3 stories a day, and all real estate agents should do this, or all professionals should do this. 3 stories a day, minimum a day, Sunday through Sunday, and a minimum of 3 to 5 posts on their news feed a week. That's just bare minimum, But there's, if you do more, obviously you go into the reels. If you do maybe 1 reel a day, that's gonna help you out a lot too. So I try to follow the 3 stories and 3 to 5 Facebook posts a week. That's literally my strategy. And I like to post at 8 a.m. I know there's rules out there like, oh, you got to post at 9 or whatever. I like doing 8 a.m. just because, at least for me, that works a little bit better because, to this day, I take my kids to school every single day, both of them. And to me, that's something that that maybe I don't reflect on it too much a lot, but to me is something as a parent and a leader in this industry that I'm still able to do that. And I know they're too little right now to understand that, but I'm sure one day they'll be like, damn, my dad takes me to school every single day. And to me, that's something very personal and emotional that I can do that still.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it, how, there is no work-life balance and you can't stop work, and, even you can't stop work from calling you at 6 or whatnot. How has that affected your personal life?
What can I say? It's been hard. It's been challenging. But at the end of the day, I got to take care of both, no matter what's going on, right? There was a call once where Eddie called me like, hey, man, I need help with this and we need you over here. I left dinner to go. It was a hard conversation with the family, but they know my position. They know where I stand. And they know how important this is to me. So, and I'm not saying that it's an everyday thing or it's an okay thing to do, but sometimes, business has to be taken care of. I was in San Diego or California before launch for 8 days. 8 days in California away from my kids. It doesn't matter. Like 8 days is 8 days, right? But this was the first time that I was away from my kids for that long. And usually it's maybe 2-3 days when I do a business trip, but this is before launch, so they needed my help out there in California to launch this company. So I was out there, and when I got back to Chicago and I saw my kids, it was an emotional thing because, yeah, it's just hard.
8 days. Sheesh. I mean, do you want your kids to be agents, or what do you want them to be?
They have to be agents.
They have to.
They have to be agents. And I mean agents licensed. And they can do whatever they want. Like I say that a lot on my social medias.
You want to cut their commission or what?
No. Like I say this a lot and I will always keep saying it and I say that to them. They're too little to understand, but I always tell them like my ceiling will be their floor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so whatever I could accomplish, they got to accomplish more.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna help them no matter what. Like my goal for my little ones is for them to be the next U.S. president, to be the next senator, to be the next person that launches a rocket to Mars. I want them to. Those are my goals for them, you know. But if they want to do, you know, become a realtor, lender, whatever they want to do, that's fine too.
How did you develop that mindset of like thinking that way? Did you always think that way? Like, or was there something pivotal?
No, it's just because like so I grew up with a single mother, so I know what not to be as a dad, right? So to me is pouring into my kids as much as possible, you know, because I want them to be great, and I want them to have problems, but not my problems. Like my problems is running a company, financials, business, family, right? I want their problems to be like how do I cure cancer? How do I cure homeless? How do I make the world better? I want those to be their problems. My problems are simple.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be greater than me.
Yeah, but when I asked that, I mean like, so at what point did you start thinking bigger than Jewel? Like,
I've always had the mindset to think big.
mm-hmm.
I just didn't know how to structure or function it. You know, at 16, you know, I was like, man, I want to be the boss of this, and then I was, right? And then I was like, okay, I got my degree. Now what else can I get? Let me get a master's degree, and I did. And I was like, okay, that feels cool, but what else can I do? And just through meeting, I met Eddie, and I was like, damn, this is amazing. Like, let me get a piece of that, and I did. So now I see Eddie as a CEO, and I did that. Right now he's the CEO of a world class company. Am I gonna get to the level? I don't know, but I'm gonna definitely sure try. You know, is it gonna fulfill me? Probably not, right? But I'm gonna strive for that.
That's a good. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's a great comment you just made. So you don't think you would feel fulfilled, like if you were?
Nothing really fulfills me besides my family. My family fulfills me. My love for my mother, my siblings, my family, my wife, my kids, they fulfill me. You know, that's just something personal in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, money doesn't fulfill me, but does buy happiness, right? It does help me give my family a better life. It helps me do things that I could only dream about, right? But I just like quietness. I love my family, and that's it. That's all I want. You know, you never take away, like, you know, the equations are like X plus Y. Mm-hmm. There's always an X and there's always a Y.
Yeah.
X is family and Y is business or whatever, mm-hmm. right? So I always want to be great at both.
Yeah.
Like if I could physically keep doing what I'm doing, like, why not? I've always tried for greatness, always tried to be the best. You know, just because why would you want to be second? Mm-hmm. Right? Why would you want to be last? Right? Like it's just my mentality always. And when I started working at 14 as washing cars, like I was the youngest kid in that car wash, but I always wanted to be the best car wash guy, and I did. And the boss told me, like, man, you're the best one here, and I was 14. Mm-hmm. And these 30-year-old men were super jealous of me, you know, because I was making more tips than them. So everything I put my mind to, I work hard to get it. Nothing's ever given to me. Mm-hmm. You know, nothing's ever given to me.
That's interesting, though. If you say it doesn't fulfill you, then why do you chase it?
Just because I can. Why wouldn't I? You know, it's like every day you wake up to get coffee. I just do it because I want to. Yeah. I just do it because I want to. No one's gonna stop me. Only myself.
What is your ultimate goal? outside of your family? Because
My goal is just to be old, live in a high rise with my family. My girls be good, have amazing partners in their lives. As long as my girls are good, they have good husbands, living a good life. That's all I care about. Put me underneath the bridge, and I'll find a house. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I'll figure it out. But as long as my girls are good, that's all that matters.
how old are they?
My Amira, she's 8, and Aritzia's 3. So they still have a lot of life to live, and I'm there to guide them every single step of the way.
You want more?
No, that's it. Only 2.
No boy?
No boy. And one thing that I'm really like, and now that we're talking about my kids, is that one thing that I really, really take pride in is I've been to all my daughter's field trips
Mm-hmm.
as a parent. You know, when they get chaperones,
Yeah.
I'm always a chaperone.
Really?
Always. I go to all of them. Because to me, like, at the time when I was growing up, my mother couldn't do it because she was always working.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we have his business, his life, now we have the opportunity to do so. So I do it.
That's nice. Do you go in a suit?
I do sometimes. I do sometimes because, just like everything, you put in a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Right after
On a
the
calendar?
field trip, I gotta go. I gotta go take care of business
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice. So it's such a little thing, but do you think realtors should wear suits or no?
all the time, 1,000%. And if you're not wearing a suit, you're not a real estate agent. I don't. That's crazy because it's funny you mentioned. I'll give you a little story. So, and I'm gonna mention no names, right? So, when we went to other markets where the norm wasn't suits at other markets, one of the things that Eddie did was change that. So now a lot of our leaders in different markets now all wear suits,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just a standard now because you have more confidence. You're in business, and, you're meeting a lot of important people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like that's such an amateur mistake to make. Not wear a suit. I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know. Like it's nice. You
Yeah.
look sharp. You feel confident, and I can't see myself meeting like my clients in like casual clothes. I don't think. I think to me it's disrespectful.
Of course.
Like I don't think like I thought the client was important enough or the business meeting was important enough for me to be my best.
Yes.
I'm like, well, I'm only meeting with so and so. I'll take it casual.
Yeah.
I think it's like every single time you meet it with a client or a potential business partner for the first time, you're being interviewed.
Yeah. All
And
the
so
time.
why wouldn't you wear your interview attire?
Yeah.
Right? You wouldn't casual Friday wear a polo and your Jordans.
Of course.
You know. What is a common mistake you see new agents make?
So I'll go back to that suit. So number 1, wear a suit, and number 2, if you want to take your business to the next level, and it's been 8 years since I took a drop of alcohol, and not just because I just did, just because, right? But now I see a lot of agents, and if I could do this again and redo everything, one things that I would change is wear a suit every single day, and every time I have a meeting with a business partner or a client, and if it's in a restaurant, always drink water. Never drink an ounce of alcohol because that will separate the conversation. So a lot of business meetings that I've been through all over the country, we don't drink alcohol. We drink water.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of shows. I mean, just for me, in my opinion, shows some types of respect when it's a business meeting.
Mm.
Once you have a drop or whatever, you're now under the influence of what? I don't know. But yes, I would. At least if it's an important big meeting, no alcohol. And then one of my coaches, he trains real estate agents like you have a limit of 3 drinks per networking event, minimum, or max 3.
Minimum.
Yeah, so max 3.
Yeah.
So.
Who do you get coached by?
So I've been coached by a couple people. The core was a big one. Still doing that. I think the core. I mean, anyone that's been in real estate business should definitely be part of the core. You
It's
know,
expensive.
even if it's the lowest one or the biggest one, just get in some type of coaching.
Yeah.
Not if you can't afford coaching, go into an office that there's real human being leaders. And when I say leaders, are in suits, have a successful business, have a successful office. Those are the ones you got to follow. So you have to find the right leaders and right coaches to help you grow. If there's no leaders and the leaders walking in there with not a suit, with khakis, you might want to go the other way.
Yeah.
You might.
But who? So you're being coached by the core, or?
The core. I also have a business coach with the Glover U. So that one's pretty cool too. So and I also have a speaking coach as well too. So just like in anything, you know, people get coach for lifting or whatever.
Yeah.
Trainers, people get coaches for piano.
Yeah.
I
I
get
get coached, and I'm actually flying out tomorrow morning to an event they're hosting. So I'm going to meet my coaches.
Nice.
And I think being coached is so important
Of
to
course.
have some kind of like direction. Like that's why I feel like like I started. You showed it to me when I was an agent, but I was like, the greatest record I did
You're
not.
like, nah, I'm good.
I was like, this is old.
Yeah.
I want to be on Instagram.
Yeah. I want to go with the shorts or in khakis or what?
Exactly. I was like, this isn't Selling Sunset. Like, what is it? I thought I would post a listing and get some deals.
Yeah.
And you showed me the greatness tracker, and I was like, this is a bunch of boxes.
Yeah.
But
Tic-tac-toe or what?
but once I actually started implementing it, when I first became a lender, it was a game changer. It was a game changer because you're directed, you have intentions for the day, right? Like you mentioned, like, and that's one thing that now that I'm getting busier, is one thing that I'm trying my best to balance, is that, hey, you say from 9 to 12 you're prospecting. That means if someone calls you, you ignore that call.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If it's that one annoying client, whatever, new client, unsaved number, processor sent an email, loan came back from underwriting, ignore it.
Yeah.
9 to 12 you gotta prospect, and that's one thing that I've been struggling with recently, now that I'm scaling more. But I think that's so key to, like, it's stuff that you should know, but it's nice to have someone tell you.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have someone have to tell you, like, hey, go to the office every day and prospect from this time to this time. But to have someone to tell you, like, and then you kind of have those, like, the second thoughts. You know, I'm prospecting, I get a call, or someone wants to see a showing during my prospect times. You may second guess yourself and cancel that. But if you have someone that's doing all this successful stuff and they're like, nope, don't do it.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to do. Stick to the script. It's very important.
Yeah. One thing that, you know, I always talk about is, like, you know, show your evidence of success. You know, if you see successful people doing it, just do it. Don't change it. Just keep doing what they're doing, and you'll be successful too. And that's it.
So how did you go from managing like 12 agents to 2,000?
So you need a lot of help. That's the answer, right? So obviously I have staff, but when you're running like Realty Chicago, you need leaders to step up. And, you know, thank God in Chicago we have amazing managing brokers. We have Lewis, we have Maggie, we have Emmeline, we have Tino, and we have also other managers underneath them that help us run the company. But communication, weekly meetings, always discussing the issues, the concerns up front, and solving them right there and then. You know, so having your leadership team on check and having them accountable, I mean, everything else will trickle down. You know what I'm saying? So now with Realtor Chicago, you know, we were taking care of everything. And what I mean everything is literally everything. So just managing everyone. So I come from the background with like the Chuasco days, you know, like the biggest stores will have 300 employees. The smaller stores will have 100 employees. You know, but you always had department managers and managers. So I kind of use that concept, like, okay, I need people to help me run the company. So how long are you going to be doing these videos daily?
Oh man, until I hit 40 units a month. I have to. I think it's going to take 2 to 3 years. for me to get to that point. But so like 2 to 3 years, I'm gonna be making the daily videos. At first, I started like I got it from coaching. So I get coached, and then I was asking. They have like some guy for social media there, and I was like, well, how do you go from like just hitting your local sphere? Because I told him I feel like right now I'm doing a very good job of staying on top of mind for realtors and then other real estate professionals, but I'm not. I feel like I'm not doing a good job of hitting like actual people, right? And like getting their attention. Like, yeah, they're seeing me, but I don't have their attention. Whereas I feel like ever since I started doing that, my little small audience is more engaged. I feel like more in tune with them. I've gotten more people reach out directly to me. Um, and that coach, his whole thing is just social media. And he said, think of some crazy idea and then make a crazy goal and make a video every day until you hit that goal. And so I've been saying this since I started like committed being a lender, was I want to get to the point where in personal production I'm producing over 100 million in volume, and at my average unit that's 40 units a month. So that's how I came to that figure, right? So it wasn't like something I just came up with. It was something that was actually kind of thoughtful, right? Like, and then I know like what I'll gross when I close that. So it was not just a random number that I threw out there. It was something that I thought about and a goal that I've been actively working towards. And then this month is going to be my best month. So I'm projecting to have like 1.7 million in sales, probably. So
Congrats.
I'm pretty happy with that. And the goal is to get to 10 million a month. So I think next 2 to 3 years I'll do that.
When are you gonna grow your team?
I was actually just talking to Maggie about this yesterday. I want to have my first team member within the next 120 days. So in the next 120 days, I will have my first team member.
And team member, you mean by loan officer or staff?
Staff. But I do want to get loan officers. That's one thing that I didn't realize that I was passionate about until like I mentioned, I get coached and I'm very active in the community. Like any opportunity I get to be active, I have any question, I'll post it. I recorded myself doing a call and I was like, hey, provide feedback. And they gave me good feedback. They were like, why are you calling this agent like at this time? Like it was like a Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon. And like I didn't even think of that. To me, I have no life. I'm like, oh, this is a good time to call.
Yeah.
But they're like, hey, this is not a good time to call someone. And I was like, I didn't think of that. And I've had people, I post some of my like victories, and people have reached out. And one thing I've realized that I'm passionate about is actually directing other people. Where it's like, I asked someone, it's like, hey, do you have your list of 40 realtors that you're targeting? And then he's like, oh, well, I have around like 20 to 30. I'm like, well, those 20 to 30, how many have given you an actual lead? And he's like, well, maybe 5 of them. And I'm like, so, well, this is what I would do in your shoes. I would go to more events. I would post on social media every day. At events, I would try to bump into as many real estate agents as possible. Don't try to get too deep in there. Just kind of like bump into them, introduce yourself briefly, collect their business card, and build that list. Because he said that his thing was that the agents were cold. Because he's just cold calling agents on his social media that don't know who he is, right? But yeah, they have each other on social media, but that doesn't mean they know who you are. But so I told him, just kind of bump into people and be a little bit more warm, and they're going to be a lot more receptive of meeting you because they've already kind of met you in person. And I felt like, and he said that he found it, like, I gave him a bunch of other advice too. He said that he found that helpful. And I think that's one thing that I find really satisfying. And I do want to, like, one day just have loan officers under me. I think that would be pretty sick.
Yeah, I think at least for business, I think you always have to have other people helping you to grow and scale the business.
Yeah,
you know.
That's what I started. I remember I was running and I was thinking about my goals, and I was like, well, I feel like
running from the cops or running from what?
No, I was running. I was running on a treadmill. And I was just thinking about my goals, and I was like, well, I can only do so much myself. Like, what's beyond myself? And that's when I started thinking of, okay, well, I think I need to start a team in the near future.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me ask you this one last question. So what's the lender world or the lender side think about Realty of America?
Honestly, not much.
Damn.
Like, I mean, it's as in the way where it doesn't change things for me.
No, but what are people saying? Or what's the
Like as in lenders, what are lenders saying, or what is overall everyone saying?
whatever you want to say then?
I think a lot of it's weird because I've heard a lot of agents either both ways where they think that it's going too big, and then I think the opposite where they really like that it's going big, right? Where some agents are like, hey, like I already feel like I'm lost, now I feel like I'm more lost. And then we're the opposite because I've worked with a lot of Realty of America agents, so I'll hear that where it's like, well, they already felt like they weren't like I guess getting the care that they need or whatever, and so growing even further, they felt like that. And then whereas I have other people, like you've seen it, where it's like agents have left and then they heard the announcement and they came back because they don't want that extra attention, they don't need that, they're happy with that, right? So they want to just be a part of a bigger brand. They don't need that extra attention. So I think I heard like both sides of the coin. So I think overall, a bunch of good things though. Like more positive than negative for sure. I think for me and everyone in general is like how you said, really inspired by it being in our backyard, right? I started it off as an agent at Realty of Chicago. I was a fanboy. I remember first time I met Eddie Garcia, I felt like I was like, oh my God, I met Eddie. And then so it's pretty cool and inspiring to see what the company is doing. And like for example, I was not that I would do it because I don't think I'm bold or confident enough to do that, but I was talking to somebody about how they started their own mortgage company. And it was interesting because they said that it wasn't really that different from just being like a regular like mortgage broker. And to me, I thought it would be like this complicated, like tricky process. And he was like, his two things he told me was one, just if you were to do it, just make sure you know what you need in your state. And then two, as long as you have experience being a broker, then it's really not different at all. And to me, I'm thinking like, oh my God, it's gonna be so tricky, processing, underwriting. How is that like operation? Like I would think it's so hard. And he's like, nah, it's just literally the same thing. And I think that's my two thoughts on Realty of America. That's cool to see it go from Realty of Chicago to now a national company.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming to the show.
It's a wrap. We covered everything I wanted to cover. Thank you
You're
for
welcome,
your time.
You're
Busy
welcome,
guy.
man. Very
Saved
busy.
some time for me. Flattered. I remember being a Southsider. I think I was signed to the Southside, not the Pilsen one. Yeah. And then now we're here.
Now we're here.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Now, yep.